Sisters, greetings for Advent and Christmas. It's a very special time of year and a very unusual season of COVID. Let's start with a prayer based on the O antiphons, O wisdom, O leader, O Emmanuel. I found some new O antiphons from the poet Diane Tucker, who wrote 40 new O antiphons. I'll just offer some for our prayer today. O Lord of every path and passageway, door and key and bridge across the abyss, flashlight in the darkness, blackout candle, steady us on our way with your bright wisdom. Make us quick and nimble with our love on the Jesus path of kindness. O Lord of leaves and maker of trees, help us through the season of cold winds. Feed our hidden roots until the spring. O ear to all our prayers, heaven's listener. You bear our weary cries so tenderly. Your arms receive and comfort us. Dear, patient Lord, love us into holiness. Amen. I'd like to share a little bit as we start about my personal journey over the last few months, accompanying my parents through their last days. It's really been a journey of a couple of years, and it intensified in 2020 as mom and dad's health went down. And of course, it's been compounded by the pandemic, which has affected all of us. It's a blessing and a privilege, as well as a heartbreak, to accompany mom and dad in their final days. Mom was in residential care and dad was at my sister Julie's house. For both of them, in their last days, we had some special family moments. A group of us gathered around telling stories, laughing, singing, and praying together. Thankfully, during those times, we never shared the COVID virus among us. The facility where mom was staying in Washington allowed us to visit regularly at the end. We had not been there since March. After dad died, mom rallied and emerged from the fog of dementia to say her touching goodbyes. She wanted to reach out and touch our faces. So as you can imagine, these past few months have been a bit of a blur with care plans and schedules, and then the online vigils, and then the funeral, which had to be canceled in the end because of COVID. Mom and dad were cremated, so we'll plan that again sometime probably in the spring. During this time, Fran and Margaret encouraged me to take as much time as I needed. And I appreciate that. I'm grateful for their sensitivity, for their support. I cleared my calendar as much as possible through Thanksgiving, just to have some time to live the moment. Thanksgiving itself was a warm day here in St. Louis. So family members gathered outside. And again, we had time of sharing stories and singing together, having our Thanksgiving dinner and a bonfire. And we lit those flying lanterns, all treasured family traditions. You all have reached out to me in different ways to express your prayer, your support, your condolences, CSJs, my other sister friends, and family. Keep Moving is a book by Maggie Smith. It's a poetry journal that she wrote during her own time of loss and grieving. She shares simple, wholesome advice, punctuated by the phrase, keep moving. I'm going to share a few lines that have been powerful for me, but also I think help us all during this COVID moment. She says, prioritize your own happiness, security, and wellness. You cannot care for anyone else until or unless you care for yourself. Keep moving. Oh, she says, secure your own mask first. Keep moving. Be brave enough to ask for help when you need it. There is no merit badge for doing all the hard things alone. Reach out. Keep moving. I know this is a long journey that I'm just starting, and I appreciate the love, kindness, and support of community along the way. COVID is also a long journey that we're all going through. So let's reach out to one another in that same love, kindness, and support. Christmas will be a new experience for all of us this year. We're all making new memories, new traditions. Right now, I'm quarantining in this lovely backdrop, quarantining so that I can safely share Christmas with family. We're all experiencing the loss of our sisters, of other loved ones, and the loss of the freedom to move around in our daily lives. So let's be gentle with ourselves, be gentle with each other, and keep moving. Now, Fran will share some updates on our fall community meetings.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing your very personal story. And please be assured of our prayers, our presence, and our thoughts as you continue to grieve. And I give to everyone the Advent greetings of patient expectations. And I appreciate the challenge of keep moving. My recent PNN article was entitled Listening and Responding. My part of this video is exactly that. We carefully read all the responses that you gave during our fall series of community meetings. We summarized them, we discussed them, and now we will respond. So the evaluations of our virtual assembly were overwhelmingly positive. We achieved the goals of being connected and being accountable, of sharing this journey that we call community. At the production team evaluation meeting, one of the members commented that the greatest learning was the strong desire of the sisters and associates to remain connected. Some other practical learnings were ways that we can improve the process, making it both easier and smoother. For example, choosing the dates much earlier and meeting with the facilitators of each of the sessions to explain the process and timeline early on. But the bottom line is we decided, let's do it again. It worked. So our next assembly in late July through August will be a virtual assembly. Now, no time or format is perfect for everyone. Based on your evaluations, we did consider some other formats, days, and times. We chose shorter focused sessions of 3 hours rather than consecutive full or half days, being aware of our energy levels. We chose weekday afternoon rather than weekends or evenings to meet the needs of the majority of our participants. The format that we have chosen is Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 4 p.m. beginning in July with 5 sessions every other week. It's fairly similar to the format we used in the fall with a different day. The specific dates will be published in our February PNN. The 3-hour format will allow flexibility, knowing that some of our sessions will be shorter than that. And at this moment, we're asking you to think about 5 sessions with the possibility that there may be fewer when we actually start the planning of those sessions. Then here are a few other comments that came from your evaluations. We will continue to work with Pat Dumpy and her team to encourage the best ways that Nazareth can be included in our Zoom meetings. You affirm that prayer is an essential part of who we are as a community, and prayer will be incorporated into every session. You liked seeing our faces. Thank you very much. So Province leadership will play a piece in each session, uniting the sessions with a common theme and a call to participation. We also are aware that we want to assess the technology needs of the sisters and their computer skills. When we are able, we will meet with sisters at Nazareth in particular to make sure they have the equipment that they need. Sisters outside of Nazareth, if you have a need, we ask that you contact us. We've also talked with both Jenny and Jeff, who are willing to offer some small group tutorials for how to use Zoom. We learned a lot through practice, but there are still some things we need to learn. Besides setting the assembly dates, we are working with committees to design a calendar for the spring and summer. The Governance Communal Discernment Committee will host several meetings to continue working towards the decision on remaining as a province or choosing to relate directly to the congregation. The Mission Agenda Committee has plans for articles and videos to continue to heighten our awareness of the province focus to dismantle racism. The Racial and Cultural Justice Committee will invite sisters and associates to participate in a 7-week program on being human. Our hope is to get specific dates from these groups and to publish them in the February PNN. So look for the dates and be ready to mark your calendar. There's lots of ways to be connected in the spring. The second set of responses asked you to prioritize our future directions. We did send you the future directions from the congregation and from the province. Jean Jansen, one of our counselors, listed all of these directives on a piece of paper and then tallied your responses. We then discussed them at one of our council meetings. And I suppose the results was no great surprise. Respond to the Crisis of Earth and Global Warming received 20 responses, and implementation of LADITC received an additional 3. Interestingly, care of the earth is only a phrase in the St. Louis Future Directions under a much longer statement that begins with talking about healthy communities. We notice that St. Louis does not currently have an Earth Committee, and so we contacted 2 of the sisters we know who have a passion around this. They explained to us that after a survey a number of years ago, the Earth Committee was moved under the umbrella of the Justice Committee. They also noted that the congregation does have an Earth Committee, and 3 sisters from St. Louis are members of it. We rejoiced that this seemed like a great example of both simplification and collaboration. So racism and/or white privilege was prominently listed in both the congregation and province future directions. Work towards dismantling interlocking systems of oppression received 10 responses, and being intentional about becoming diverse and inclusive received 11. In 2018, we as the St. Louis province chose dismantling racism and white privilege as our province focus for 3 years. With so much work still to be done, we may want to choose to extend that focus through the next congregational chapter. The Mission Agenda Committee will host one of the sessions in our summer assembly. They are considering asking the question to extend our focus through 2025 or beyond. Then looking ahead, at the time of selection of our new leadership in 2022-23, we will have a chapter of affairs to set future directions to give guidance to the new leadership group. We may want to consider incorporating the congregational statements of future directions, which we have, highlighting the province focus if we have chosen one, and simplifying our directions with fewer statements. We currently have 17, and shorter focus points rather than the longer statements. As typical CSJs, we try to include everything. Though the question to think about for the future is, what do we want to focus on in the next leadership term? That will be coming in not too many years. So there's a third section of evaluations, and Margaret's going to talk about those. So I now turn the spotlight to Margaret, who will share our listening and responding to the assembly question around simplification.
Thank you, Fran. Sisters, I'm glad to be with you, even though it's only by Zoom. My part of these sharings with Fran and Amy is highlighting some of the suggestions sent by the sisters who responded to the evaluation from the 2020 community meetings. With the few overview comments that I expressed today, I do hope I encourage you to visit the CSJ website for review of the full data. For our discussions as a team and council, Sister Maria Jean organized the core suggestions from the sisters, and it provided a rich discussion for us. Simplification is an area that we called ourselves to act upon. In reality, the direction to reduce the number of full-time sisters to St. Louis province leadership was accomplished at our last chapter. Amy, Fran, and I, we do work well together. Jean and Maria Jean, as part-time elected counselors, work well with us all together. They give positive and well-appreciated advice and counsel at our scheduled province leadership team and council meetings. A suggestion to have administrative duties of the province run by lay people is reflected in the roles and duties of positions established and filled with dedicated personnel. Their expertise is invaluable in maintaining the business of the province. Department personnel are seeking ways always to simplify functions to get to their desired goals. The suggestion for collaboration with other provinces and congregational level include providing joint educational experiences of justice, creation, etc., and issuing justice statements at the congregational level. Sisters, we do try to cooperate and collaborate whenever possible. Under other province issues, sisters suggested review of committees, their goals and their work. Yes. And review of our province publications. Okay. Governance issues, considering reducing the number of days for congregational chapters and province assemblies and chapters. Decreasing the number of sisters in congregational leadership. The consideration of administrative functions with other congregations. This is just the whipped cream on the top of this sundae. Please, thank you for all who participated in the evaluation. And I encourage everyone to go to the website and just review the wealth of information there, and to be proud of ourselves for, thinking. We're never at a stop. We're always progressing. I cannot leave you without encouraging all of us to stay strong during the COVID-19 pandemic. News of a vaccine available cannot lull us into the feeling of complacency. We still need to be vigilant about wearing masks, socially distancing by at least 6 feet, and washing our hands often. Please do not feel that this is a broken record. It is a message of compassion and concern for oneself and the care of others. Little did we know that March of 2019 until now, that we were in the pandemic, and into the future as we would be so separated from one another, the persons most near and dear to us. This is difficult, and some days they seem more difficult than others. But we are not alone. Let us please stay connected with each other. Know the joy when someone calls you, and well, you can be the caller that gives that joy to another. The important call is for all of us to be connected, to stay connected. So as we sign off, we say,
My Advent prayer for everyone is that we have peace in our hearts and peace in our world. Thank you.
and sisters, please stay connected.
And have a very, very Merry Christmas.